I have on my right, or maybe your left. Yeah, go for it.
My name is Kwame McPherson. I'm a diasporan, I call it that. You know?
That's brilliant. So Kwame is not just a diasporan, you know, he was living in England, he's come back to live in Jamaica, and I think those are one of the things that I want people to know. That England is not the solution, the diaspora or maybe the West is not always a solution. We've got people who have come back to these other places. Shout out to Wademaya and as well as other people who are interviewing people who have moved from the West and gone back to Africa. I felt, you know what, there are people in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, who have returned, and we need to hear their story as well. On my left, your right is Adrian. Okay, so these two men are definitely going to give us, you know, a bit of their spill on it. Let's start with, you know, Jamaica. Let's look at, you know, what's happening in Jamaica, maybe in this month of February. Kwame, go for it.
All right. All right. This month is Reggae Month. It started in 2010, if I remember rightly, and it was a way to celebrate because it's also America's Black History. So it's a way of celebrating Jamaica and Jamaicanness around reggae, because reggae is the essence of Jamaica. Everybody knows, majority of people know Jamaica is reggae because of Bob Marley. So this month is filled with activity, a lot of activity, a lot of free concerts, and it's wonderful in terms of vibration to feel what Jamaica actually feels like around those events. So this month is a very important month in the calendar of things, but things happen still, you know. But this month, it's like it's busy than every other month.
Yeah, and not to cut in, ironically enough, I don't know if you follow the current affairs right now, but a Jamaican won a Grammy last night. Kabaka Pyramid. He won a Grammy for reggae.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a big thing for us right now in Jamaica. Big thing.
It's bringing it back.
It's bringing it back home.
Yeah, he's a new reggae artist. And there's a lot of them coming on actually.
And he brought it back home right here. The Grammy for the reggae right home here.
That's amazing, guys. I was actually out last night on Emancipation Park, and it's interesting. Kwame was there. I didn't know he was there. This morning I saw his WhatsApp status and I said, "Yo,
you were there."
You know, it's interesting because that was the only place people had to be, and it was free. You know, so you had the different.
We have a lot of free concerts here when it comes around to celebrating our culture.
Yes.
We have a lot of free concerts.
That is true.
I think today we're going to be talking about different stories, mental health. Let's talk about Jamaica. How much are you allowed to be that naked, to be yourself, in terms of these kind of, you know, things, depression, mental health? How much are you allowed?
Fully clothed. You can't be naked at all in Jamaica. None at all. The moment the stigma that is surrounding men in specific, women are allowed to feel and cry, and we as men were supposed to shelter them and hug them and cater to them. But here in Jamaica, the moment you shed a tear, some woman might even lose interest in you. You're too emotional, you're too soft. You know, they're like a rough, rugged man. You know, if here in Jamaica you say you're depressed, what are you depressed about, man? Shrug it off, man. You just ate. You know, you have a roof over your head, even if it's leaking. You have a roof over your head. What you depressed about? Later on, they see that same person, you know, they hung themselves, and then they sit there and cry and wonder, why didn't this person come and talk to me? We tried to. But you shunned us, you know. You look at us like, what are we depressed about? We have a hot meal, we have somewhere to sleep. That's all there is to life, a hot meal and somewhere to rest your head. You know, there's nothing else. Matter of fact, in Jamaica, if you're to even cry about a girl that you still very well cared about, you cared so much about this girl, you love this girl, you were willing to give your all to this girl, you were to married and settle down with this girl. You know, no more of that 3, 4, 5, 6 women in your life. You want this one woman, you want children, you want to live with her. And for whatever reason that relationship ended, so when you cry, you're ridiculed. Wow. You are literally laughed at. You are ridiculed in Jamaica for it.
What's your view about maybe a young black Jamaican, you know, thinking about maybe marriage, relationship, or even, you know, having a family? You know, does it scare you?
Personally, no, because I grew myself to be family oriented. Because where my father wasn't around physically, he was there very actively and financially. Mainly because I'm a woman. So.
And what's a bagger woman? Yo guys, listen. I thought I definitely grabbed all these Jamaican terms, but I'm telling you, there are certain things I need to clarify. Go for it.
In Jamaica, when someone says they have a bagger woman, it's because you have multiple women, more than two. Not just two, more than two.
Okay.
So yeah, my father was a type of a womanizer, so my mother was really into that, and they parted the ways, but he was still very around, very active. Coincidentally enough, they used to work in the same building. So my mother used to pick me up from school. I used to run to his floor. I didn't really stay with my mother like that, but growing up and seeing how he treated me, even though he wasn't there physically, I said I wanted that for myself, for my future generation as well. So I grew myself to be family oriented. So I believe in having only one girlfriend, hopefully at one point in time marriage, hopefully enough kids, little pitter-patter feet around the house, all that lovely stuff. It feels a warm feeling to think about coming home to a nice home-cooked meal, your wife, your kids. However, the Jamaican culture, it's not really that. Not really that.
Guys, I didn't say that. Go ahead. I want him to finish on a good note.
Probably some of my Jamaican brothers might look at it and say, oh boy, I make Jamaica look bad, but it's the facts, Right now, if you really have one woman per se in Jamaica, another man, I wouldn't say he might frown at you, but he might look at you funny like, why? Why, you can't trust these women, why you only have one, You think she has one man, they try to trick you into believing that, having multiple options is the way to go in Jamaica, because these women, they're crafty, they're tricksters, so...
Oh, you see what a woman can do? Yeah. When you don't talk about them the right way, they break things around.
A Jamaican term for that would be sealer.
Okay.
If we're speaking about something and something strange happens, it's a sealer.
Wow.
Which means it's truth you're talking.
The spirit is here.
The spirit is here.
Yeah.
So imagine speaking about women and something like that happens, we say seal it. Seal it, seal. So that seal the deal for say it's true I'm speaking.
Oh.
So we have a lot of Jamaican little things about it. But yeah, the marriage life, it's not really common in Jamaica. It's here a lot. It's here a lot, to be honest. You'd actually be shocked to see many people that you find here that are married and have their wife. However, it's not really that common to be spoken about publicly. You probably have to meet a married man for no say, he's married, because it's just not that common here.
Guys, if you're a married man out there in Jamaica, please reach out to me. I want to know your story, your experience and everything. We got no sealers around. Please tell me what it feels like. Guys, if you are a female person, out there from the Caribbean or even from Africa or other parts and equally identify as black, reach out to me if you want us to understand your journey as a community as well. I think I'll be more than happy to sit with our sisters before they actually make things crack. Guys, it's interesting because for me, I'm loving the fact that I am with two black men, and it's not just about the fact that they are black men, but these are things that we experience as men in terms of sometimes bottling things up. I'm having a bit of a younger generation as compared to Kwame and I. Let me rub with Kwame. Leave Adrian alone. But Kwame, you lived in England, you lived in the UK.
I lived in North America too. I've been around.
There you go. Okay, we will go into Kwame's, the things that Kwame has, because we are talking to a poet, we're talking a writer and that. But I think I want us to look at one thing. Kwame, you talk about being muzzled, in those foreign countries, right? How much do you think plays a role on black mental health, black people struggling, to be able to access the services, the people who can actually be of help to them?
Well, it's funny because even though Jamaica has a harsh environment, which it is, the difference between Jamaica and other countries in terms of the West is that they have no understanding of what. Well, the structures are in such a way that it's almost like a throwback to when our ancestors were taken, because the structures have been created in such a way to ensure and enable that black men aren't supposed to be who they're supposed to be. In Jamaica, it's a different scenario, even though it's probably similar in terms of what the outcome is. But in those places, the structures are in place in such a way that a man still black man in particular, are targeted. They're suppressed, unoppressed. You know what I mean? There'll be various things and elements within the system that ensure that he doesn't succeed. So, for example, I've had experiences where I remember when I left Jamaica, I went to England, and I ended up playing on a football team. I was on a football team, and when I started to get to know the guys, every single one of them had interaction with police. So that meant every one of them had a police record. In Jamaica, that wasn't the case for me growing up. You understand? So I can't imagine that many other Jamaicans that would be also the same. Unless you're in a particular area and you're involved in a particular thing, you probably have interaction with police. But where I grew up, I didn't. You know what I mean? So, but whereas in the UK, it doesn't seem like the norm. You understand? So the structure that's in place, from that time when I went there, I said, damn, so all the man never succeed. In police record. In that environment, you know what I mean? So it's set up sophisticated in such a way that it doesn't enable the black man to excel, and you have to have that self-belief within yourself in order to succeed, especially from the Caribbean. Okay. More so, you know, than those from Africa. Because what I realized at that time is that those who came from Africa had a different focus on purpose, maybe because they didn't have the particular experiences of what the Caribbean people had in regards to that entire what's called Mahatma journey in terms of Pan-Africanism, in terms of the Holocaust that took place. So and the colonialism that came out of it. So we were more impacted in that regard, and like I said, going into that environment and seeing the results of it really shocked me, you know. And like I said, so the systems weren't at the time, and even now to a great extent, have been set up to enable or help black men. Because black men, like again, like Adrian said, it's a different format in outside of Jamaica, where black men are seen as supposed to be strong, supposed to do all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the system that is in place enables to ensure that he doesn't get to where he needs to be. Whereas in Jamaica, it's just about being informed.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I think I will come back to you again, Kwame, because you have lived in England but currently living in Jamaica. Yeah. It's not for him to rub it in to say that he's living in paradise. We will definitely want to understand the reason why he came, because my understanding is there are a lot of people moving from the West, you know, back towards our motherland, you know, the places where we can identify with.
A lot of people who have left the Caribbean to go live overseas, they're retiring back here. They
not only retiring, but we can explore that. I can tell you.
Yeah, man. A lot of people, they come back here to Jamaica to enjoy it.
Adrian, let me come back to this question again in terms of, you know, where mental health becomes an issue, and because of the culture within the system, people are not allowed to cry, people are not allowed to, you know, vent out or even seek support. You did use an analogy, you know, in terms of the slave master, what they used to shackle, you know, people in terms of even being able to eat, but still allowed to go and worship somewhere. You know, share it with other people, because I think I was really struck by that.
Oh yeah, what I did stumble upon in some of my readings is that there were some mechanisms that were used to bar some of the slaves from eating. And some of those mechanisms involved putting something in their mouth at first that has a barb that sticks the tongue. Then it goes over the head and locks. So on top of having something blocking their mouth, something is now stuck in their tongue. So they can't eat, they can't drink, they can't even speak. They're just to work. You have to eat when you're told. You have to sleep when you're told. You are so controlled as a slave. However, what I found ironic was that the only thing that slaves are allowed to freely do is go to church. Okay, that's correct. They were allowed to worship. How coincidental is that? You're not even allowed to eat unless it's on command. But yet you were free to go to church and worship and, you know, serve the Christian God and, you know.
So this is how far we have come, you know, in terms of what it may mean for our ancestors to have gone through that. And I'm sure by this time some people may be asking themselves, if I don't like reading, is there a way of saying, you know what, I didn't want to conform? I would say to everyone, reading is important, because the reason why I'm saying that is Kwame is an author. He's definitely gotten himself, you know. Kwame, how many books have you got?
Over 10, I think. I can't last count.
Okay, so it's not just about being an author. For me, I always say I read books that makes meaning to me. Okay, so if Kwame is talking about his experiences in his book, for you to be able to read the book and actually have some kind of connection with it, I think I would definitely recommend you. Please, when Kwame said to me, Nana, I will definitely grant that interview. You know, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. You know, so I had to do a quick homework. Whilst I was talking to him, I went on Google and typed Kwame McPherson. I said, I am actually going to Jamaica to interview somebody who has achieved so much for himself. And I think that is something that we need to learn to be able to create that connection.
Support
you know,
Jamaican hospitality, man.
That's great. That's great.
You know? And to be honest, you know, the Jamaican hospitality stretch further than just Kwame and his working. Right now, if you have a neighbor and you don't have anything to eat and you tell a neighbor I'm hungry, they're going to dish you a plate of food.
That's true.
Wow.
That's just the Jamaican hospitality.
Wow.
You know, and they don't expect anything in return, no money for it, no favor, you know. It's just part of the Jamaican hospitality. So to say that you're shocked that Kwame actually accepted the interview, I am shocked you're shocked.
You know what? Let me tell you.
I'm shocked that you'd be shocked, but that's because I'm from Jamaica and I'm probably used to it. To say, why would you be so shocked that we would accept an interview with you? Nah, let me Jamaica. Ask us anything, man. Go next door right now and ask a man, you know, he probably might be camera shy. But if you ask a man, you know, say, I'm not from around here, you know, what can you tell me? Sit here down and you probably chat for hours.
Wow.
Especially an elder.
You know what? The interesting thing is, I interviewed somebody called Pamela R. Haynes. Please check her out. Pamela, this is respect to you because you set it up. Yeah? I just sent a text message. I said, yo, Pamela, I'm off to Jamaica. Any link up? Within 2 minutes, I was in a group. You know, within 2 minutes, she just said, hold on. Within 2 minutes, I was in a group with Kwame, you know, and straight away we started vibing, and all that Pamela said is, I leave you guys to it. Get on with it. And straight away, I am in Kwame's house.
And you know, from the funny thing, you know, and Pamela then went to a wedding, right, of a mutual friend, and then she's talking to somebody, and that person said, oh, my brother could help you with a book, or would help you in writing. Lo and behold, the person is talking to my sister, and then Pam ends up saying, I know him. You know what I mean?
Guys, there is definitely strength in that network. You know, we definitely need to be able to use our resources to help each other, because as a community, if we are, you know, not supporting ourselves, you know, we've got authors. There may be the time where maybe my children, my nieces, my nephews may want to be authors themselves, and I want them to speak to Kwame. You know, any of them may be coming to Jamaica. I want them to link up, you know, with Adrian, you know. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of we using our resources to our advantage. Guys, this is the situation. I know people will be saying, you know what, we want to see the actual party lifestyle in Jamaica, but before we do that, guys, it's amazing. For me, I think if I'm continuing this interview, we may have an hour, you know, tapping the brains of these amazing guys. But you know what? Please, let's check out these books, yeah? My Date with Depression. Kwame, I think I would want us to definitely talk about your experience with depression, because, you know, it's not only just a matter of we showing you the books, but you had a reason of writing it, right? Equally, we have this other book, other one, the poems, that's the love poems. It's Valentine month. Those of you who want to kill a vibe, you know, using Kwame's words, grab that, yeah?
And then this one's to our fall. And funny enough, this one was written because there's a lot of knife crimes, a lot of youth violence in the UK, a lot. But a lot of us here don't know that. But this was written on the back of a number of young people being stabbed and stuff like that. So all the poems in there are in reference to young people being killed and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be hopefully be reading that here in regards to our violence that we have here and the similarity.
And in terms of violence, guys, it's everywhere. Yeah. When I said to people I was coming to Jamaica, they told me, yo, be careful and that. When I said I was coming to see some people in some places, I was told, you know what, you need to be careful, X, Y, Z. But sometimes it's a matter of you having the right people around you to take you in and out. And I mean it, in and out. Yeah. Let's look at the third book.
Short story book, Deep Root Strong Tree, and this is my first short story book actually. A couple of the stories in there I have actually won awards for in Canada. And one of them, funny enough, was around violence that I saw between my mother and my father, and it's done in such a way that you're watching a cartoon. You know what I mean? So the story itself plays out in a cartoon. I'm watching a cartoon and what's going on at the same time. So I won an award for that. So that book is my first one. I'm very proud of that one actually, because like I said, two stories in it have won awards. So.
Wow. Guys, when we're talking about what we may have seen between our fathers and mothers, I think this is a big subject. You know, we may call it domestic violence. It's got so much, you know, context to it,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's a matter of way being able to look at it from a cultural perspective.
Definitely.
Pamela definitely talks about domestic violence in her book. She talks about the Trinity. Check out, Pamela Arhin. She's an amazing person who talks about domestic violence in her book.
Yeah. And I think that's also a throwback to what I've done before. You know what I mean? I think because of how we were treated, you know what I mean, then obviously, like I said, we internalize a lot of stuff. And throughout the generation, throughout the years, we have carried it on. We as African Caribbean people in particular, and the African American, because we're the ones who were stolen and kidnapped. We never had a chance to, I don't think when George Floyd passed away, when they killed George Floyd, and he said he couldn't breathe, I said to myself, that's African risk in the diaspora. We haven't had a chance to breathe. Up to this day, we haven't had a chance to reflect, to look back, to create a connection between ourselves today and those who have done before. Like I was saying, sharing with you before, we don't know the true story up until now.
So a lot of it is muzzled.
Yeah, man, we don't know the true story. When
I found out some of the true stories by digging.
Yeah, exactly.
By digging, you don't know. It's not really taught to the extent of what I'm saying, what me and Kwame are really telling you and breaking down to you. It's not taught in school.
No, it's not. And we've never had a chance to reflect on that, because a lot of what we're going through today is based on what's gone before. You understand? And we've never had a chance to look at what's in our DNA to cause us to be in particular ways. And then the societal stuff that came after that. You know what I mean? The societal stuff that has come on after that. But the root of it, like I said, is that destruction. Remember, it's not a destruction for 10 years, It's not a destruction of 5 years. It's a destruction of 400 years. And I think we have not come to terms with that to this day in terms of the impact of what that has on us as a people to this day. So a lot of the stories that I write and my storytelling, I try to provoke thought in that regard. That's everything in a modern setting. So for example, which I'll share, there's a UK publisher who took up 3 of my stories, the anthologies, and they're looking at diversity in terms of writing. One of the anthologies is about immigrant stories. Another one is about lost worlds, and there's one called alternate history. Okay. So, for example, the alternate history one, I submitted a story based on the Mayflower. Okay. So the Mayflower was a European ship that went to the Americas, right? So I twisted that to have an African perspective. So it's African people in the ship going to discover white people. So I've always tried to create in my storytelling a way to provoke thought and to the way for us to help us into our journey of reflection and where we are as a people. And so a lot of stories that I write, everything that I've written is around that, our African story.
Guys,
Caribbean story.
If up till now you've listened to us and you've not subscribed, make sure you do and click on the notification, because I think what I do in terms of what's on the Black Next Gen channel is things that we experience as a Black community. And I think it's about time we need to start telling our own stories. We need to get us to be able to explain, this was my experience. Before we finish for the day, Kwame migrated from the UK to the Jamaica, and he's already saying to me, Nana, you need to come back another time. I think that will be the reason why I'm coming back, to hear about your migration. But I think, Kwame, let's end it. You have your, you have this other one. Go ahead, tell us about that.
Eternal Legacy. I had written the poems and again, it's interesting because in terms of my writing journey, because in Jamaica, I wasn't writing in Jamaica, which is funny, It's only when I went foreign. Let's start right. But the training started in Jamaica. The primary school, high school, just essays, poetry, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Those are the groundings. And it's only when I went away, and I guess through the experiences that I was seeing around me, I decided to pen them into poetry. So the poems in this were done in the 90s. And then I just said, I think I was working in the civil service, and I did a personalized poem. I said, you can write poems. I said, can you write my poems for my girlfriend? I said, no problem. Which is what I did, and then they loved it, and then more people. I said, I'm really good at this thing. So I started writing on the poetry. And then I started to observe, like I said, I started to realize as an African Caribbean man in the West, what was happening around me. Started to see the issues, started to see the isms, with racism, sexism, discrimination, all that stuff I was going through myself. I started to pen poems. And I penned the poems, and then about in the early 2000s, I said, you know what, I think I was in Canada at the time, but it was just at the cusp of what I was going through. Someone said to me, what are you good at? And I put all the poems together, my first poetry book. And I went to the schools, sharing, and again, like I said, it's a reflection of us, because I think being creative and being able to tell our story through writing, poetry, prose, dancing, whatever it is, we have that as a people because we're creative people.
Yeah.
You know, so we tell our stories, and my role and my purpose is to tell stories through prose and through poetry and enable our people to understand ourselves, you know, and other people to see and understand who we are as a people, because a lot of people don't.
You know? Guys, it's amazing, you know. It's an interesting day where I'm actually in the Caribbean. I'm having fun, but equally for 1 week, you know, they're rubbing it in. If you don't see me back in England, guys, my wife is definitely not gonna let me off, right? But the reality is, I think I had to find the opportunity to be able to meet great men like this, you know, for us to be able to learn, reflect on our experiences. And Kwame, thank you very much.
Traveling all the way from England to interview me.
Yo, can you just imagine traveling all the way from England to interview these guys? It's great. It shows how amazing they are as, you know, as men.
Trust me, he's going to have a part 2, because it's impossible to cover all of the Jamaican culture in 1 week and 1 video.
Yo, tell me about it.
Definitely look out for a part 2.
Guys, if you want to support me to be able to come back to Jamaica, make sure we've got a GoFundMe page. Go and support us. We will get a bit of money and come back for the next one. Yeah? We'll grab no bagger of women. We're coming here to work. Yo, Kwame, thank you very much.
Thank you.